And joining us right now to talk about that and a little bit more is former Congressman Pete Hoekstra. He's a former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. Hi, Congressman. How are you, sir?
I'm doing just fine. Thank you, Steve.
Always good to talk to you, sir. So, first of all, what do you make of the fact that a court in Egypt today has ordered the release of former President Hosni Mubarak?
Well, that's not a surprise. I mean, the courts are acting in conjunction with the new leaders of Egypt. These were folks that were friends of Mubarak. They were part of his regime, and releasing Mubarak from prison, that's not a surprise. I guess I might have been surprised that it hadn't happened earlier.
Right. No, of course it wouldn't have, but it never would have happened under the Brotherhood, needless to say. You know, Congressman, perhaps what's most disturbing, and this is something, I don't know, as a human being, but maybe especially as a Jewish person, has always riled me, and it's the attacks around the world, but now specifically in Egypt against Christians and the Coptic Christians in that country. They've been going on for years, not to pretend they didn't go on under Mubarak, but nothing to this extent, I don't believe. And now what we're seeing is we actually had reminiscent of Kristallnacht. We had painted Christian shops and homes and whatnot painted with paint before they were destroyed and burned and robbed and pillaged by their attackers. We also have a report here of an Islamic mob parading nuns around in Cairo as prisoners of war 6 hours after looting a church and a school and replacing a cross with a banner resembling an Al-Qaeda flag. I mean, I know the president made mention on his vacation when he made that statement the other day, Thursday, I guess. He briefly mentioned the attacks on Christians, but this cannot be tolerated.
Well, it's following a pattern. You can talk about what's going on in the Middle East. You go back a few years, Saddam Hussein did protect the Christian minorities. The Chaldeans now in Iraq are being brutally attacked and murdered. Really, for most of the last 30 years, Mubarak did protect the Christian and the Jewish minorities in Egypt. I don't think it's accurate. It's accurate to say that there were some attacks that were going on and that occurred during the reign of Mubarak, but by and large, Mubarak was protecting, and his government provided protection for the Coptics in Egypt. Under the Muslim Brotherhood, when they were in control and they were running the government, they sanctioned attacks on the Christian minority. And now that they've been overthrown, they're blaming it on the Christian minority. And it is absolutely brutal and horrific. It's why we should never have partnered with the Muslim Brotherhood or sanctioned them or recognized them. They are a terrorist organization. They are, pardon the language, but they are hell-bent on destroying everything that America stands for and those types of things. And we're seeing the true character and nature of the Muslim Brotherhood now that they're out of power, and seeing what they're doing to Christians and Jews throughout Egypt.
Well, absolutely. And there's a story in the London Telegraph that quotes Egypt's ambassador to Britain saying that the Muslim Brotherhood must be removed like the Nazis were removed back certainly during that time period. And we were told by this administration, look, this administration is still going to bat for the Muslim Brotherhood. This administration sends its emissaries over there and says, hey, guess what? We need a full participation. We need to have the Muslim Brotherhood back in the fold. They have to be participants in the next election, et cetera, et cetera. We were told by John Brennan that the Muslim Brotherhood's nonviolent, that they're good people, that they're not a threat. This was way back. I mean, this administration is playing this card purposely. Why do you feel that Obama has this love for the Muslim Brotherhood?
I can't explain it. I think, our DNI, the director of, national intelligence, said also, I think it was a couple of years ago, that this was not a terrorist organization. They were, I think the statement was they are a secular organization, and many folks came back, excuse me, and said, no, they identify themselves as the Muslim Brotherhood, not a secular brotherhood. And I can't explain it. I think, again, the president believed that with the power of his personality, he could fundamentally change the nature of the relationship with radical jihadist elements in their view of the United States. And the bottom line was, no. They're going to see that as weakness. They saw it as weakness. They took advantage of it. They're taking advantage of it all across the Middle East. America's credibility is ruined. And you've got people like Saudi. They're stepping up and they're supporting this new government in Egypt. And I'm not saying this new government in Egypt is perfect, all right? But they represent the interests that were aligned with the United States for 30 years.
Absolutely.
They kept stability in northern Africa. They protected the borders with Israel. They kept the Suez Canal open. They maintained peace and stability. And I will take that, an imperfect government like that gets those kinds of outcomes versus what we saw with the Muslim Brotherhood over the last 2 years.
Absolutely. We have a little over a minute, and there's a Washington Times story today by my friend Rowan Scarborough that the Obama administration provided a New York Times reporter exclusive access to a range of high-level national security officials for a book that divulged highly classified information on the U.S. cyber war on Iran's nuclear program. This according to internal State Department emails. It was Sanger of the Times. The book came out in June of 2012. At the time, Republicans wanted to know who was tipping him off, who gave him the information. And now it turns out, according to Scarborough, that it was the Obama administration.
This is just a pattern that we've seen. When intelligence works for them and it enables them to move their message forward, they'll use it. They did it with the killing of bin Laden. They leaked secret details which had devastating consequences for national security. They've done it, it appears now, with Stuxnet, because I think that's what
right. It is Stuxnet. Yeah, book. Yeah.
And again, with devastating. You have to remember, Steve.
Well, Congressman, I'm kind of out of time, so it was unfair to bring that up to you at the end, but I did want to get your initial response. Listen, Congressman, we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, sir.
All right, sounds good. Hey, thank you.
My pleasure. Congressman Pete Hoekstra, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee on the Steve